They invited me to dinner to make things right, but ambushed me with a $3,000 bill in front of 14 relatives. They had no idea I was about to make every single one of them pay, just not the way they expected. My name is Claire. I'm 34 years old, and I run logistics for a regional catering company that services corporate events, weddings, and private dinners across 3 counties. I know food. I know service. I know exactly what a $6,000 dinner tab looks like before the dessert menu hits the table. So when my mother called after 2 years of silence and invited me to dinner to clear the air, I should have asked one question before I said yes. Who else is coming? I didn't ask. And that mistake cost me nothing. Because by the time the evening was over, I'd paid for exactly 1 glass of water, and my uncle's credit card had done more damage to his pride than anything I could have said out loud. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you who I was before that phone call arrived, because that version of me is the one they were counting on, and the version I'd already left behind. I didn't come from money. We came from surviving. My father, Gerald, worked construction his whole life. My mother, Patrice, ran a daycare out of our living room until my youngest cousin was old enough for kindergarten. And she ran out of excuses to keep going. We had a house. We had food. We had a family that showed up loudly at every graduation, every birthday, every holiday, and quietly disappeared when a bill arrived. Except me. I was the oldest. The responsible one. The one who figured out at age 16 that if I didn't make sure things were handled, they simply wouldn't be. First job at 15. Bussing tables at a diner on Route 9. I remember the smell of that grease trap on August afternoons. I remember counting my tips at the end of a double shift and doing the math on whether we could make the phone bill. By 22, I was managing weekend catering crews. By 27, I had my certification in event logistics. By 30, I was the operations lead for the whole Tri-County region, building staffing schedules and vendor contracts and pulling apart budgets line by line. I'm not wealthy. I drive a 6-year-old Subaru. My apartment has 2 bedrooms and I use the second one as a home office. I meal plan on Sundays. I take 1 vacation a year if the schedule allows it. But I have a savings account I actually add to. And I have no one else's debt on my shoulders. That last part took a long time to get right. The pattern in my family was simple. Someone needed something. Money, a cosigner, a deposit. Just until we get back on our feet. The call would come, usually on a Sunday. My mother's voice would go soft and careful, the way it does when she's already rehearsed the ask. Claire, sweetheart, you know how family works. And I'd help, because I'd been trained to. Because I'd learned early that saying yes kept the peace, kept the warmth, kept me from being the villain of whatever story they were already telling about me behind closed doors. I co-signed my cousin Devin's truck loan at 25. He stopped making payments by month 4. My credit took the hit. I covered my Aunt Renee's security deposit when her landlord wouldn't renew her lease. She never paid me back. She did, however, buy a new dining room set 6 weeks later. When my brother Marcus needed money to launch a pressure washing business, no equipment, quote, no client list, no plan. I wrote him a check for $3,000 because my mother said, "He's really trying this time, Claire. You know how he is." Marcus bought a truck wrap and a Facebook page. The business never launched. He still has my number saved as Sis in his phone, right next to the text thread, where he asked to borrow money 4 more times. I said yes twice more after that. Then I stopped. The last time I said no, really no, with a reason and a boundary behind it, was when my Uncle Dale asked me to put my name on a commercial lease for his investment property. A storefront he wanted to flip into a sports bar. No capital, no license, no partner with hospitality experience. Just a dream and my signature. I asked to see the financials. He didn't have any. I said no. My mother called that evening and said I was being selfish. My aunt sent a voice message calling me cold. Marcus texted me 2 words, "Must be nice." And just like that, I was out. Not formally. No one sat me down and said, "You're no longer in this family." It happened the way these things always happen. The group chat went quiet. The birthday texts stopped. The holiday invitations arrived a day late. when plans had already been made. 2 years of that particular silence. Then my mother called. It was a Wednesday morning. I was reviewing a staffing contract when my phone buzzed on the desk. Mom. I stared at it through 2 full rings before I answered. Her voice was warm, careful, rehearsed. She said she and Dad had been doing a lot of thinking, that she missed me, that the family wasn't complete without me in it, and she wanted to make things right over dinner. Just us, she said. You, me, your father, and Marcus. Small, simple. We'll go to Harlow's on Friday. Harlow's is a steakhouse downtown. White tablecloths, valet parking, the kind of place where they refill your water before you notice it's low. I know Harlow's well. We've done 3 corporate buyout dinners there. The ribeye runs $48. The seafood tower is $180 on its own. I said I'd think about it. My coworker Sandra told me not to go. She said it the way you say, don't touch a hot stove. Quietly, but like she'd already watched someone get burned. My therapist, Dr. Osei, didn't tell me not to go. He asked me what I was hoping to find there. Closure, I told him. What does that look like? He asked. I didn't have a clean answer. But I knew I needed to sit across from my mother and find out whether 2 years had changed anything, or whether the silence had just been a longer version of the same conversation, the one where I'm expected to listen, agree, and quietly absorb whatever they need me to absorb. I also knew, and I'll be honest about this, that I missed her. Not the version of her that orchestrates. The version that taught me to make biscuits on Sunday mornings. The one who used to sing along with old R&B in the kitchen and pretend she didn't know I was watching from the hallway. That mother hadn't called in 2 years either. I called back on Thursday and said yes. I set one rule for myself. I wrote it on a sticky note and pressed it to my bathroom mirror. One dinner, civil, no money, leave if it feels wrong. I dressed carefully on Friday evening. Nothing flashy. Dark slacks, a navy blouse I wear to client presentations, low heels, a watch I bought myself when I got the operations promotion. Simple, silver, practical. I didn't want to walk in looking like I was performing wealth. My family had always read my success as a kind of insult, a reminder of what they hadn't built. I wasn't going to give them more material. The drive to Harlow's was 25 minutes. I drove in silence, hands steady on the wheel. Somewhere on the highway, my stomach tightened. It was the same feeling I get when a vendor cancels on a Friday before a Saturday event, and I already know the next 12 hours are going to require every skill I have. Pure instinct. My body reading the situation faster than my brain was willing to. I almost turned around at the exit. Almost. I thought about those Sunday mornings. The biscuits. The R&B. I kept driving. Harlow's parking lot was half full when I pulled in. I found a spot near the back and sat in the car for a moment, doing what I always do before a difficult meeting. I organized myself. Then I looked up, and I saw my Uncle Dale's black Tahoe parked 3 spaces from the entrance. Aunt Renee's minivan beside it. My cousin Devin's truck with the cracked rear light he'd never fixed. My mother had said just the 4 of us. I counted 6 vehicles I recognized. The tightening in my stomach went cold. I sat there for 90 seconds, long enough to think clearly, long enough to decide that if I left now, I would never stop asking myself what would have happened if I'd walked in. I got out of the car. The host stand was manned by a young woman in all black who smiled at me with the professional warmth they train for. Reservation under Hargrove, I said. She led me through the dining room, past the bar, toward a private section near the back. I heard them before I saw them. The table was long, white linen, candles already lit, and around it sat 14 members of my family, eating, not waiting for me. Eating, appetizers were already half cleared. There were 2 wine bottles open on the table, a seafood platter with the crab legs picked clean on one end, and a bread basket reduced to crumbs. They'd been here at least an hour. My mother stood when she saw me, arms open, beaming the way she does when she's already decided how this evening is going to go. Surprise! The whole family together again. I thought it would be more special this way. I hugged her. My arms did it automatically while my mind was still processing the table. I sat down in the one empty chair near the end, beside my cousin Devin, who gave me a nod like nothing unusual was happening. My father, Gerald, sat at the head. He raised a glass in my direction, Glad you came, sweetheart. There was something off about him. The way there's something off about a man holding an umbrella on a clear day. My father has never been a steakhouse man. He's a corner booth diner man. He clips coupons. He returns items to the hardware store if he decides he doesn't need them, even after opening the package. But here he was in a button-down shirt, ordering a second round of something expensive with a wave of his hand, louder than he needed to be. A performance. I'd seen it before. I recognized the choreography. Look how fine we're doing, Claire. Look how little we need you. But the performance had cracks. My mother's handbag was the same one from 3 years ago, the clasp replaced with a safety pin. Devon's shoes were worn through at the heel. Aunt Renee was drinking water and ordering off the cheaper side of the menu while everyone else ordered freely. Someone was paying for this. And looking around that table, the safety-pinned purse, the worn-through heels, the careful way Aunt Renee was reading the menu like it had a quiz attached. A small, cold thought settled into place. I'm not a guest tonight. I'm the plan. I had a feeling the opening act was almost over. I ordered sparkling water. That's all, just water. The waiter, young, early 20s, the kind of focused but overwhelmed energy I recognized from my own staff on a packed Saturday night, noted it without comment and moved on. The meal continued around me. The small cuts started with the appetizers. Aunt Renee leaned across the table and said, "Must be nice to have that big salary while the rest of us are clipping grocery coupons." She laughed when she said it, the kind of laugh that means I'm serious, but I want a way out if you push back. Devon mentioned that some people don't have to worry about bills. Marcus, across the table, stared at his plate and said, quietly, "She never did." Each comment landed with the precision of something coordinated, not scripted, but aligned. The way a group of people land in the same place when they've been talking about you for a long time. Claire left. Claire has plenty. Claire owes. My Uncle Dale delivered the thesis statement. He reached over, patted my hand, and said, "You know, family doesn't keep score." This from a man who once refused to attend Christmas dinner because someone sat in his usual chair. I didn't respond. I picked up my water glass. The waiter passed behind me and refilled it without being asked. I caught his eye for half a second. He gave a small nod, the kind that says I see exactly what's happening at this table. Dessert was ordered, 3 of them. A chocolate torte, a creme brulee, and a slice of cheesecake the size of a small building. Then my father set down his fork, folded his hands on the table, and looked at me. "Claire," he said, "you know tonight's been a lot. We went all out. For the family. For you." The table went quiet. Not accidental quiet, arranged quiet. "I think it goes without saying," he continued, "that since you're the one doing well, you wouldn't mind taking care of this tonight." He smiled at me the way men smile when they think they've already won. I didn't flinch. I'd known this was coming since the parking lot. Maybe since before that. Maybe since my mother's voice on the phone. Careful and warm and rehearsed, I said, very calmly, "I'll be right back." I folded my napkin on the table, stood up, and walked to the front of the restaurant. I found the host stand and asked for the manager on duty. A woman named Karen came out, mid-40s, sharp eyes, the composed energy of someone who has handled every variety of difficult situation that a busy restaurant can produce. I introduced myself by profession. She recognized the company name. I told her, quietly, that I was sitting at the Hargrove table in the back room, that I was one guest among 14, that I had ordered 1 glass of sparkling water and nothing else, and that I needed her to run a separate check for my water before the table received their bill, so that there was no ambiguity about what I owed. She didn't blink. She simply said, "Of course, give me 2 minutes." I waited at the host stand. The waiter, his name tag read James, appeared beside Karen, spoke with her quietly, and disappeared toward the back. 4 minutes later, he returned and handed me a slip. 1 sparkling water, $7. I handed him a 20 and told him to keep the change. "You're doing great," I told him. He looked like he needed to hear it. Then I walked back to the table. My father was still holding court at the head. Some cousin I barely knew was laughing at something he'd said. The dessert plates were half cleared. I sat down. My father looked at me. "So, we good? We will be in a few minutes," I said. 5 minutes later, Karen appeared at this table with a leather check presenter. She set it near my father, the natural head of the table, and said, "Whenever you're ready." My father opened it. His smile stayed in place, just slightly. The way a man's face changes when he reads a number he wasn't prepared for. He closed the presenter, opened it again, looked up at me. "Claire, I paid my portion," I said, simply. I had the water. The table registered what was happening in stages. My mother's smile flickered. Aunt Renee set her fork down. Devin looked at the tablecloth. This is, my father started. "It's your dinner," I said. "You organized it. You ordered for the table. You told me it was just the 4 of us. And I drove here to find 14 people and a seafood tower." My mother's voice went soft and careful. "Claire, sweetheart, you know we've been going through a hard time." "I know that now," I said. "Nobody told me. The invitation was for dinner and reconciliation, not for a bill." Marcus leaned forward. "So you're just going to leave us?" "I'm going to pay for exactly what I ordered," I said, which is what any of us should do. My Uncle Dale's voice came from the middle of the table. "I don't have my card on me." "Aunt Renee, I thought Dale brought his—" "I only have the debit, and there might not be enough." The table descended into the specific chaos of 14 people who had collectively ordered $3,000 of food and wine and not collectively planned for who was covering it. I watched it without moving. I'd managed events for a decade. I'd seen tables fall apart over less. I knew how to sit inside a difficult moment without absorbing it. Then my father's voice dropped. The performance went out of it. What was left was just a man, tired, sitting at the head of a table he couldn't afford. "Claire," he said, quieter now. "We're not doing well. We really aren't. I didn't want you to know. I didn't want you to think." He stopped. I looked at him. Really looked at him. Past the button down. Past the performance. Past the man who'd waved away my questions like they were inconveniences. I saw someone who was scared and had no language for it except a dinner reservation and the hope that I'd absorb the cost like I always had. I ached for him. And then he said, "You'd really let us sit here like this?" And the ache stopped. Because even in that moment, even honest and stripped down, he was reaching for my wallet instead of asking for my hand. I stood up slowly. "Dad," I said, "I'm sorry you're struggling. I mean that. If you need real help, a real plan, I will sit down with you and a financial advisor, and we will figure something out together. Honestly, no games." I looked at the table. The empty wine bottles, the demolished seafood platter, the dessert dishes. But I didn't order this dinner. I wasn't told about it. And the invitation I received said 4 people and a fresh start. Not a bill for 14. My mother's eyes were wet. "We just wanted you back, Claire. You wanted me back for what I could cover," I said, gently. "I saw the texts. Mom, Devin showed me by accident last month. She'll cover us through summer. Those were your words." The table went completely still. My mother's hand moved to her mouth. My father looked at the linen. Aunt Renee looked at the wall. "If you need help, I mean what I said. Call me. Not like this, but actually call me, and I'll show up." I picked up my purse. "But I'm not paying this bill." I said it without anger, without apology. "I'm not paying this bill." Nobody spoke. I walked toward the front of the restaurant, past the bar, past the host stand, through the glass doors, into the cool evening air. James, the waiter, caught me near the coat check. "Ma'am." He handed me a copy of my receipt, folded clean. "Thank you," I said. He nodded, quiet, like he'd witnessed something and understood it. "You're doing great," I told him one more time. Then I walked out. The parking lot was quiet. Friday evening, the kind of warm that lingers after sunset. Somewhere in the landscaping, something was chirping. I sat in my car with the engine off for 3 minutes. I didn't cry. I didn't feel victorious. I felt the way you feel after you finally said a true thing out loud to people who needed to hear it, and probably won't. A little lighter, a little lonelier. I started the car and drove home in silence. The aftermath was quieter than I expected. No one called that night. No one called the next day, or the day after that. 3 weeks later, Marcus texted, not to apologize, to ask if I could loan him first and last month's rent on a new apartment. I sent him the name of a non-profit financial counseling service and wished him well. He didn't respond. Through my cousin Devin, who, to his credit, texted me separately 2 weeks after the dinner to say I'm sorry. That wasn't right. I learned the rest over the following months. My father's business had been in trouble for over a year. A contract that fell through. A supplier dispute he'd handled badly. My mother had been covering the gap with credit cards and hadn't told anyone. The house went up for sale in September. They downsized to a rental. Aunt Renee and Uncle Dale split the cost of the Harlow's bill. I heard it caused 3 weeks of tension between them. None of it was what I wanted for any of them. All of it was the consequence of choices that had been made long before I walked through those glass doors. And none of it was mine to carry. I called my father 6 weeks after the dinner. I said the offer still stood. A counselor, a plan, no audience, no performance. He said he'd think about it. He hasn't called back, but the offer still stands. Here's what I know now that I didn't know at 22. The most expensive thing you can purchase is other people's comfort with your silence. I spent years buying it, tipping in advance, absorbing the cost of their choices so the family dinner would stay warm, the holidays would stay functional, and I could stay good. The reliable one, the one who showed up, the one who made it work. What I was actually buying was my own invisibility. The night I stopped paying for it, the night I sat at a table with my one glass of water and my one clear decision, was the night I finally stopped disappearing. I still love my family. That part hasn't changed, but love is not the same as payment. Help is a choice, not a debt. And a boundary doesn't have to be loud to be unbreakable. That's my story. One dinner, one glass of water, and a table full of people who finally heard the word no from someone who'd spent 20 years never saying it. If this story found you at the right moment, share it. Drop a comment. And subscribe to Nightmares Theater for more. I'll see you in the next one.